Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Soul Diving Sunday show featuring transformational life coach Shelley Whizin and your hosts Lisa and Nancy. So welcome everyone. Today we're excited to chat with Shelley Whizin. You know she's your live and die happy coach. She has a new program and this sounds super fun. When we talk about relationships, when it can get into that, muddy water part of relationships, sometimes it really can be stressful in life and it can take a toll on not only your daily personal life, but it can affect how you feel when you go to work. And it's my word is caca to be blunt, because we don't want to, say things on podcasts. We want to keep this, child
family friendly. Caca really does reach the lowest of the low.
Well, but that happens with relationships, between partners, and it can also be, with family. And I think right now, Shelley, we're all gearing up for the holiday season is here. Well, we just had Halloween and, now we're going into Thanksgiving, family dinners, the holidays, whether you celebrate Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas. I say celebrate them all. It's fun. You get more candy that way. But that creates stress, even on a married couple, because it may be, well, we have to see your in-laws again. Then the drama starts. So I love this new program that you have coming up on November 9th. So I know it's a fast turnaround, but go to ShelleyWhizin.com. The link is in the episode notes to check out this very cool event that you're hosting. And this is all online, right, Shelley? So people could do this from anywhere? Cool. And it sounds super fun. It's like us adults going to camp and playing role models. So it's almost like an improv kind of thing, right? It's a play shop. Can you tell us what a play shop is?
A play shop. Okay. So, we all know pretty much what a workshop is, and you go there to learn something, of course. A play shop is playing out the learning. It's using play as the vehicle to learn something where you transform. So a play shop is where you go and play. I mean, we all have these workshops. Oh, I got to go to a workshop, or I'm going to a workshop. I thought, we got to turn it upside down. We got to turn it upside down. And not only that, here's the deal. I mean, it's like going to camp. So I'm calling it Camp Shoulda Woulda Coulda. I wrote a play about this in 1983, and I don't know, something came to me and said, pull this play out, because you go to this camp and you learn how to have a caca relationship, is what you're saying. And the interesting thing, it's not just how to have a caca relationship, it's how to be these different roles that we actually are and play in our lives. But you do them on purpose. And when you do them on purpose and you play them out, you actually get to see how absurd they are. And you get to see how dramatic it is when we do them. But here you have permission to be the biggest blamer you could possibly be, and be the biggest drama llama you could possibly be, and be the biggest worrywart you can possibly be, and play it out. And when you play it out and you pair different, I call them inner campers, with each other, like you pair them with wine. And the first round is like pairing them with wine, WHINE. And then how to fix it, you pair them with wine, WINE, because then you start to see, well, if I'm not a drama llama, then what would I be? How can I tame myself to be a different and behave in a different way?
I like it.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's so fun. And then we can just blame like a champion and complain like an Olympian level, and worry ourselves into emotional gymnastics, And some of us have these bottomless buckets that nothing can ever fill. So, yeah, go. Yeah.
So this is Camp Shoulda Woulda Coulda. I know you don't like the shoulda word.
That's why I say Camp Shoulda Woulda Coulda.
Yeah. And so this is about relationships. I can see where this, your play shop can do so many different ways with all your knowledge, but starting with relationships, and it's called How to Have a Bleep Bleep Relationship, caca. how to
Mhm.
have a relationship and finally fix it. And with a relationship now, does your partner have to be part of the event to do this? Or can
No.
you go if you're seeing there's trouble and maybe, because it's like when you go to couples therapy, the other person typically is totally anti the therapy part. And
Mhm.
so you sometimes have to do it on your own and
Mhm.
then start to realize how to, well, I think when you do these kinds of things, you create a new language and understanding of where you are in a relationship, you know?
Mhm. Well, first of all, it always, 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 and that's one of the blamers things is you always. But in this case, it always starts with yourself. What are
Mm.
you? It goes back to my book. What are you bringing to the table? What do you bring to the table of your life? And take
Yeah.
responsibility for your behavior, how you talk, how you behave, how you react versus respond. How do you do your life? So you don't need your partner there. And I know that in my couples relationships counseling coaching, when one person is there and they begin to shift the way in which they are and they talk, miraculously their partner starts to shift and change the way they talk because
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Someone has to raise their hand and say, okay, I'm going to take responsibility for my side of the bed, my side of the way in which I behave.
So you're doing this all through like neuroscience and
Mhm.
all of that brain stuff that
That's
you've
right.
studied over the years, and at the
Yep.
same time, it is psychology in there, isn't there? I
Oh,
mean,
100.
really.
Yes, yes, it is. And I mean, you know what? I have taken so many different courses. I am the course queen. I have taken NLP. I have taken so many different courses in mind setup, mind behavior, and I'm kind of like a geek, a nerd in neuroscience. I love taking all the spiritual stuff and putting a scientific language to it. I
Yeah.
love that. So what I learned in NLP, and this blew me out of the water, I have to say, when there is a client or a patient who has gotten themselves into a state of mind, and that's what we do. We get ourselves into a state, and we do that by telling ourselves stories and believing the stories we tell ourselves. Even if we didn't check in with the other person, we've got a story running and we assume the story is true, and then we base our behavior on what we think is true. And then we react to the story in our own head. Now, when we get into a state of depression or a state of anger or any of those states, and we have the client or the patient teach us, how did we get into that state? Well, first
Hmm.
you look at your body. Where does it land in your body? Because the body is like the first zone. The body says, okay, the stomach, all right, the gut feels a little queasy, feels a little sick, and then it kind of gives you chills, and then it goes into maybe if somebody's a crier, it wells up into their eyes and they start to cry. But there's a process that happens before the crying happens. When we become aware of it and we actually start to teach someone, okay, so this is what happens to me. I start to shut down. I feel this in here. I feel this in there. It wells up into my thing. And then I start to cry. And then I become defensive. And then I become this. They actually start. And if you say, okay, if you want to be the best blamer ever, here's how to do it. You point the finger, you have the disease that I call finger pointyitis. You point that finger out, you never take responsibility. You go into this, you go into that. You actually start to get yourself out of it by teaching how you get yourself into it. And that's NLP. That's neuro linguistic programming. That's neuroscience. And when you do that, that's why this whole thing, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but I think it's brilliant because when we give people permission to do that, do it with gusto, be the best blamer on your block, then you start to get yourself out of it. And then you see a different way of being. But first, we need to be aware of our behavior patterns. Once we're aware of a pattern that's taking us down a lane that doesn't make us feel good, right? And we become aware of it, we go, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. So then once you become aware of it, you realize, oh, I've got a choice. I can change it. I can change it. I don't have to do that. If you're overweight, let's say, overweight, and you're obese, I'll just take it to the other extreme, and you don't want to be obese anymore. So the first thing is to recognize the pattern of what happens when you get to the place where you actually put the food into your mouth. That's the
Mhm.
whole pattern before you eat the food. So what leads you there? What happens when you go to the food? I mean, lately I've been a little bit obsessed with food, so I can relate to what I'm saying.
I
Something
can.
happens to me where I start to go, oh, I'm obsessing over wanting to eat. What is that?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving's coming, so it's exciting on my taste buds. Oh boy, I want to eat, eat, eat.
Well, you did write a book that has a lot of good recipes in
I
there.
know, I
So it's kind of,
know.
but that's the thing. I love the pathway of it because I think, of the conversations we've had over the years on the podcast and just our conversations too. And then, reading your articles and your book, I think that what you bring to the table is consciousness. And I know we've talked about this a lot, but I'm going to bring it up again because that's really what cooking does. Like if you step away from your pot, that's when things burn, overboil. I don't want to tell you what I did to the breakfast this morning because that's true. As soon as
Right.
you aren't conscious, whenever you lose consciousness or that focus, that intent of what you're doing, that's when stuff happens. And then it's the slippery slope. So it's the same thing. It's like, okay, I know that I need to lose weight. And I do, everybody, quite frankly. Something happens in middle age and you go, what the heck was that?
Yeah,
And oh, I
right.
suppose I can't have that extra slice of cake. And then you start to be more conscious about it.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean you don't get any cake at all. Please don't take my cake away. So I think that's really a huge part of it. And when it comes to relationships, it's a moving thing between two people back and forth. And then the back and forth is sometimes really beautiful, exquisite, loving. And then the back and forth can be the complete opposite.
Mhm.
And a lot of times that's when emotions are taking over and that's when we are not using the actual facts, right? And so I
Mhm.
think you bring a whole level of what is fact, what is fiction, because emotions often make facts into fiction. They're good storytellers.
Or they make fiction into facts, or they try
Yes,
to make
yes.
fiction into facts, but they're not. They're based in a faulty belief system. But when we're not aware of that, we just go on automatic thinking, well, that's the way it is. He's a this, she's a that, and that's how I'm going to react and behave because they're never going to get out of being a this or a that. And we know those words, we don't want to use them on air, but we call them to each other all the time when we feel. And why do we do any of this? You know why we do any of this? It's because we're afraid of something. Fear runs the show instead of love. And when
Mm,
fear runs the show, it triggers these fear of being wrong, fear of being disappointed, fear of not being enough, and all of these are trying to protect us from being hurt, which feels and sounds like the opposite. But
mm.
it actually creates these yucky there's a word I can use, yucky and
Well
yucky.
done. Well done.
Relationship. How about that? Can we use that on air? Yucky relationship.
Yucky. We're allowed to say yucky. It's
Okay,
better
let's
than
say
caca.
yucky.
Caca's just not
Yeah,
a
that feels like
caca
it.
is caca.
That's right. That's like a 3-year-old. But yeah, yucky. So
Welcome to my
having
world.
yeah, yucky relationships. Okay, we know what a yucky relationship is, and we get ourselves in them because we're afraid and we shut down certain parts of ourselves and we change. This is where it goes back to the other whole philosophy that I have about treating each other from one human being to another instead of a role. That's why this whole camp shoulda, woulda, coulda is just, I don't know. I think it's just brilliant because brings to the surface these roles that we play in all of our relationships. It doesn't have to be a partnered relationship. It can be parent-child. It can be a coworker. It can even be friends. Friends are a little bit different category because I have a category called friends for life. And that means that the two of you or the group of you have agreed that you're going to treat each other from one human being to another, and that you're going to hold the space for each other to have a human experience without judging it. When we don't judge what we feel, then we can be ourselves. But when we start to judge ourselves and each other, we stop being ourselves and we become these roles that we think we're supposed to be, and we lose our humanity. We use our ability to just be human. We make what we do into a crucifixion. You made a mistake. Take the nails and hang them on the cross. I mean, we do things that are over the top that we don't have to do. And all we need to do is accept each other from one human being. It's making me cry. From one human being to another, to allow each other to have these precious human experiences, even if we're judging. Why
Yeah.
can't we say to ourselves or to each other, gosh, you know what? I am judging you right now. I want to blame you. I want to point the finger out to you so bad and make you wrong. I want to do that because I don't want to admit what I'm feeling.
Mm. And a lot of time it's a mirror,
Of
right?
course it is, because that's the only time we really see ourselves is through the reflection of somebody else.
Well, you
We
know
don't
what?
see
I
ourselves.
like this camp
Oh,
coulda, woulda, shoulda, because
yeah.
it makes it, because we can really point the finger at ourselves and get really mean
Yeah,
to
then you could do it
ourselves.
with gusto.
Yeah, and it's like rather do it, get it out, have fun with it, and move
Yes.
on and implement, right? Rather than, yeah, you don't wanna go down the drain on it because some people really get upset and really, things
And
can you really don't, especially, if on the side of depression, and it can do a lot of things when you start to fix things, for yourself in a relationship. So I really think this is cool, and I think it can work for families, not just romantic
there's
relationships.
question about it. A friend of mine who's in the corporate world said, Shelley, we could just use different terms and bring this whole thing into the corporate world and build team. Why do teams break down? Why do you point the finger? Why do you tear each other down instead of build each other up? The whole point is to build each other up. We're so used to tearing each other down. We're so
Mm,
used to wanting to fix by shaming, by criticizing, by tearing down. But I'll tell you something, it never works. Never. And that's when we know that fear is taking the lead. And love is in the back seat somewhere or out in the woods. And that's why I call this role play your way out of the woods.
I like this, and it just makes it sound fun. And the thing, it's
Yes.
like people don't want to go camping if they've never been, and if they haven't, they've like been in a city environment. They may want to, but then there's the fear part, and that's the other thing. Camping is like, all right, then once you are all around the fire and having a good time, you start to realize that nature is kind. It's got some scary things in there, but you learn about the scary things and they're not so scary anymore. And if you learn skills, survival skills. It's the
Yes.
same thing as what you're doing. I also love that you're talking about fear so much because when you look at leadership,
Mhm.
whether it's in corporate or, in your own personal thing, a leader, you look to the fearless leader. And that's part of what a leader is that they're going to take really good care of their team. They're going to sit there and make those fearless calls, like, hey, I'm too scared to make that decision, or to
Mhm.
really guide us over into this whole other realm of whatever it is. You cannot be led by fear. Then it's a big jelly bowl of wobblies, and we
Mhm.
don't like the wobblies. So I think the fear part, because that's what they always say, leader, right?
Yeah.
And so you gotta be the fearless leader for yourself, be the first one taking the hike. everyone behind you. Yeah, be the last one on the end.
Mhm,
That's that
mhm,
protective thing on a group hike is the first ones and the ones at the back so
mhm,
that you don't
mhm,
lose anybody that's going slower for whatever reason.
mhm,
So it's
mhm,
kind of an interesting thing. And I really prefer this kind of idea too, because people get to communicate for when you do it on the corporate side. We've done so many of those kinds of courses and rah-rah meetings and all of that. And
mhm,
here
mhm,
you're going to go to the top of a pole and people are going to catch you. But
mhm,
I remember doing those exercises and they're like, here, throw $5 over. He's not going to catch you.
mhm,
Going to go
mhm,
for the $5.
mhm,
And that's kind of a freaky feeling. Some of those are good, but not when you actually have to go up a pole to fall
mhm,
and be caught.
mhm.
So I think it
I
makes
think
people
I'm onto
think.
something, I
I
really
think
do.
so.
I don't know, call me crazy, call me whatever, but I think I am onto a movement. I think that this whole way of going into relationships is going to be healthier, certainly more fun because it's part play. The play shop is part theater, it's part play, and it's part transformation, but it's all fun. Who said learning cannot be fun? Who said? Who said transformation can't be fun? This is a fun way of learning how to rewire your brain. We rewire our habits. We rewire our brain from one thing to another so we can feel happier and more fulfilled and live more fully and love more deeply all the way to the end of life. That's my gig. My
Mm.
gig is from beginning to end, we are happy. How do we get happy? We can even die happy. And I know that may sound really strange to some of the listeners, but why not? We're all going to go. We might as well go happy and feel blessed. What do we want to feel in that last moment? Don't we want to feel loved and blessed and happy? We had a good life. We had loving relationships. We have a beautiful family, friends, whatever. That's what we want to feel then. Why don't we feel that now? Let's
Well,
not wait until then. We don't know when
Jane
then is.
Jane Goodall is a perfect
Oh, yeah.
example. She was
Great
tireless,
example.
she was fearless in what she
Yep.
did,
Yep.
and she put her life on the line all the time with wildlife and
Yep.
travel and all
Yep.
of that because she followed her passion, I
Yep.
believe. And she put herself out there, not just for herself, but for wildlife and humanity and, the environment. And she said, it's an adventure. All of it's a big adventure. We're going to learn
That's right.
something new today. And had this just a really, when you listen to her talk and you feel like, wow, man, I'm going to do better. I'm going to
Be
kick
like
some
that.
butt. Yeah. I don't think she meant to be a motivational speaker, but she sure did do that. But she said that she was very excited about death. She wasn't
Yep.
scared. She was like, that's my next big adventure because she lived so well that she didn't have regrets, really, and just lived well. Because I think if we deal with things, then when it's time to go, it's like, all right, I'm just going to take another step and see where this takes me. I'm just getting on a different bus.
Yep.
I want
Yep.
the party bus.
Yeah, but she had the right idea. I mean, all of life, all being human. I mean, I believe, again, it's based on my belief that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And we want to squeeze the very juice out of life. So at the end, it feels like we're the velveteen rabbit. We got all loved up. Every part of us was loved up. And
Mm.
we want to feel the juiciness, the deliciousness. I call it the yummy, delicious life. We want to feel yummy, delicious to the very end. Well, it takes a little effort. I mean, I just officiated a wedding, and I have to say, again, it brings me to tears. One of my greatest joys and blessings is to hold this space for love, for people getting married and creating a special, special ceremony for just them that reflects who they are, reflects their families, reflects their beliefs, whatever it is. It's non-denominational, doesn't even matter what it is. And
Mm.
just holding the space for love, talking about love. It's my favorite topic. So when I get to do it at a wedding where I get to talk about love without any hesitation whatsoever, the more the merrier. I love to see people cry at weddings because I know they are touched. I know
Mm.
they are touched. And I just recently did one for my nephew. I was so honored. My brother passed away in January, and my nephew was his only son, and he asked me if I would officiate their wedding. And it was such an honor and so beautiful. It was up in Los Olivos, which is near Solvang. Beautiful place, and was held at this beautiful place. And every single detail was with such care, such care. And I was just completely honored and privileged to be able to hold the space for their love and share it with everybody else. And it was beautiful. So if anybody out there needs an officiant for a wedding, I'm available.
I love that. I love that. And you've also got a new book coming up,
Yeah.
Everyone Daily Love Vows, so you can join the wait list if you go to ShelleyWhizin.com, and all her books are available there if you're like me and going, okay, I'm in my, I hit the hill. I went over the hill. I did it.
Mm,
And then I'm there, and then things change. And
mm.
so she's also part of the book 50 and Fabulous. And I may have some changes, but I feel like I've got an extra spare tire I've earned with cake and wine and cheese and pizza. But you learn these things. And so there's a lot of great books, including also the Healing Journal. So I think right now, though, with Thanksgiving up on the table, coming up soon, and also the holiday season, what do you bring to the table? A savory, sensory, and inspirational guide to living a yummy, delicious life.
Mm.
That is a book for everyone, and a great gift as well. It's got recipes, but it's also got recipes for life in it. So the link is right there in the episode notes. So you can get it on Amazon under Shelley Whizin, or just go to ShelleyWhizin.com and go to the bookshop and go shopping. And while you're there, drop Shelley a line. I know that this is happening November 8th, but there will be more coming down the pipeline. So maybe, you have specific dates and Shelley might be able to work around that or work with you to create another one. Who knows? I know if you contact Shelley, she will answer and she will work with you to make something yummy delicious, right?
Absolutely. That's my favorite thing. It's my
Not
favorite thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. So I think also the relationships is a big, big deal and something to do, even if you're looking at getting married. And we're also getting to that,
Yeah.
it's the hitching season. The hitching season starts at Thanksgiving and runs through Valentine's Day for the hitching post. Majority of the engagements come over this season. So it may be good to do this, before you get married too. So it helps you
Oh,
get on that
absolutely.
foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I have some great sessions with couples that are getting married to set the tone and to set the intention and to talk about all of this before they get married. And the Daily Love Vows, you mentioned the Daily Love Vows book. I've been personalizing those books for each and every couple that has gotten married and that's getting married. And what it is, it's 365 love vows that you say to each other after you say your wedding vows.
Mm.
Because when you get into a relationship, there are always three entities involved. There's you, there's the other person, and then there's the relationship. And we need to nurture all three entities. And this particular book, my grandson got married. I gave him this book, and he and his wife have been using it. And they said it's helped every single time they open up a vow and they say something to each other. It's always the perfect one that they needed to work on that day.
I
So it
love that.
helps the relationship. It feeds and nourishes the relationship. I'm all about feeding and nourishing the soul, feeding and nourishing the body. Well, I'm not saying I'm always eating the best possible things in life, but the tastiest things in life sometimes. But like you, I mean, I like the cake and I like the pizza every now and then.
I don't
So
know. We're known to have pizza for breakfast because
there you
sometimes
go.
it
Sometimes.
tastes really good, and
Yeah.
you have a happier day. I'm smiling just because I said it.
There you go.
Just talking about
Well,
it makes me happy.
there you go. And you know how I feel when you actually say yummy delicious. You can't help but smile.
That's right.
So,
That's
you
right.
know,
It's far better than saying yucky or all those other words, right?
exactly. And I
We
think I'm
don't
going
like
to use
those.
that one yucky. That's the one I'm going to change from the other three.
Do you want yucky or yummy? Which
Yeah,
one would you
I
choose?
like it. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to change
Yeah. And then
all
you
of
go,
that.
why? See? It's the
Right.
whys.
That's right. That's right.
Wise with Shelley Whizin.
That's
I've gone
right.
into a whole mode here. All right.
There you go. There you
Yep. The
go.
childish Lisa is really poking her head out
See,
for
we get to
sure.
play and look how much we learned today.
It's much more fun,
Much more fun.
And I want to say happy gratitude month.
Oh, see, yes.
So happy gratitude month. And thank you for all the wisdom you share, Miss Shelley Whizin. So everyone, ShelleyWhizin.com. Shelley is your live and die happy coach. And whether you're reading her books, listening to her podcast, going to one of her play shops, not workshops, or you go and get a one-on-one coaching call. And I know you do that all over the world. She'll even fly to you, So there's all kinds of things happening over in Shelley's camp. Yeah, you've got your own camp.
I do.
Cool. Well, I hope we're glamping because I want a margarita maker.
Yes, we'll definitely bring one of those, a battery operated one, so we don't have to plug it in anywhere.
Exactly. Well, everyone, all the information, the links are in the episode notes. Thank you all for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Soul Diving Sunday show with Shelley. And we'll be back next month. Every first Sunday, we're here with Shelley. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Soul Diving Sunday show featuring transformational life coach Shelley Whizin. Follow Shelley at ShelleyWhizin.com. Follow us at BigBlendRadio.com.